Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are again with our Nutrition 101. I'm Dr. Julie Gilbert from Oregon Weight and Wellness. I'm joined by the health coach in our clinic, Rachel Matthews. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here.
Yes, and we are continuing our conversation about Michael Pollan's book, Food Rules. Yeah, we've had some great discussions, and it's just reminding me why I'm choosing whole and real. And Rachel, what chapter are we on this week?
We are on chapter 11.
Chapter 11.
Avoid foods you see advertised on television.
Okay. I'm trying to think as I read this chapter, of course. All right. So, true confessions, I don't watch much television, but I'm thinking back to when I was watching more television. What advertisements do I see? Well, cereal. Often, Tony the Tiger and those targeted, there seems to be targeted groups, of course. I mean, that's what advertising, and they look at who their market is and target their market. So, yeah. Yes. So the cereal commercials targeting kids, or actually Wheaties or Cheerios or things like that. So I guess there are large budgets for marketing of a lot of these foods. Another product that's heavily marketed. I'm thinking of the ads like in the Super Bowl, like Doritos.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Chips and soda.
Chips and soda. Right.
Yeah. Those are
cereal, chips, soda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot. So highly processed foods that don't always do great things. Well, they just don't do great things for our body.
They just don't. They just pretty much don't. Now, it's interesting because with advertised foods, I'm with you. I don't watch normal television anymore. So I don't see like the run-of-the-mill television ads.
Right.
But what I am seeing a lot of that I still read, I still get some magazines. Like I get some healthy nutrition magazines and cooking magazines. And there's lots of advertisements in there. And so, he brings a point about not throwing out all advertisements because some of the advertisements are for instance, Green Giant vegetables.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So a Green Giant vegetable, frozen peas, let's say, we would use our discernment and look at the bag and say, are these just frozen peas? I think that this is great. And Green Giant is a huge corporation. I'm sure they have a lot of the money, and that's why they're marketing. But keep in mind, sometimes the frozen foods, like the frozen vegetables, have a lot of added stuff. So I've noticed this more and more, and my kids get interested in it because it's quick, right? Like a quick potatoes or these quick veggie stir fries. But you look at the package. So they're in the frozen food aisle. You think it's just frozen vegetables, but you look at the package and there's a ton of butter and salt and preservatives and chemicals, because it's like a quick, you just microwave it for 3 minutes and it becomes this little like frozen meal. But it's not just frozen vegetables. There's a ton of additives.
Right.
It's in the frozen vegetable area, looks like a frozen vegetable. It's advertised as a frozen vegetable, but it's not truly just a whole food. There's a bunch of extra stuff in it. So we do have to be a little savvy, even with something that otherwise would be healthy.
Right. You're saying turn the package over and look at the ingredient list. Right.
Yeah. Like before you read a book, you turn it over to say, what's this about?
Yeah.
Do that with your food.
Check. That's right. What is it about? Right. Right. You have to we've said this before, ignore what's, the no high fruit, ignore those the grab you stamps of approval from different places. But so you were having a conversation, you were telling me with.
Yeah. So what I loved about this chapter is, so I was having a conversation this weekend. We had a little family reunion with some cousins, actually yesterday. And shout out to my cousin, Shelly. She said she watches us on Mondays.
Oh, so that's cool. Shelly.
Hi, Shelly. We were having a conversation talking about health and our health journeys and food. And we were sharing the commiseration of that. Sometimes it feels like I just don't even know where to start.
Right.
Right. When we feel burdened and overwhelmed with how far we have to go. And this is actually true of anything in life that's hard, that's worthwhile doing. can feel really overwhelming. And I hear this from clients in coaching on a regular basis. Where do I start? There's so far to go, and I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know what's the first right step to take. And we typically talk about little steps, right? And picking the thing that feels the easiest that day or that week. But I thought that this is, if you're kind of like, where do I start with my food? My food it feels like it's a mess. Here's an easy one. Just make it a rule that you don't buy foods that are heavily advertised. Now, of course, aside from the basic package of frozen peas, right? If it's advertised,
the incredible edible egg.
Right. There we go. Yes, exactly. There are going to be a few that we can navigate through that, right? But on the whole, when it's really heavily marketed, it could be like a game. It could be a fun thing to just say, okay, I'm not going to put anything in my grocery buggy this week that has been heavily marketed, right? That I know that I've seen a commercial for it. So that might be one way to start your journey of limiting highly processed foods, limiting foods that are not actually really food. It's just sort of like a manufactured, processed food-like substance. So I wish I would have read this chapter before we talked yesterday. Hopefully she's watching and she'll see this, but that's kind of a fun way to think about it. It's like a game in my mind.
Right. Yeah, great. So you're saying that if it's highly marketed, I'm going to think twice about putting it in my grocery cart.
Exactly. Right. And then, as you're going through the grocery store, and these are the types of games I play with myself all the time. As I navigate the grocery store, not my food, right? And so it could be this game where if you're trying to navigate all the highly processed foods, which are hard to navigate, some are okay, some are not great. And which ones? At least the ones you've seen commercials for. So maybe, like, I love your idea, Dr. Gilbert, of the Super Bowl. I can think of almost all of the commercials I've seen for the Super Bowl, right? It's going to be like KFC and Buffalo Wild Wings, right? Or it's going to be soda, or it's going to be Red Bull, or it's going to be cereals, or Doritos.
Doritos
is a big one.
They're funny. They are funny.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, they do a great job.
They do
a great job.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I think about marketing is this bait and switch kind of a thing, because the advertisement, there's sometimes they glom on to something that's never been a part of them. Like, for example, high fructose corn syrup. I don't think Lay's potato chips has high fructose corn syrup. They never have. So they put that stamp on or advertise their product. Well, we don't have high fructose corn syrup. So, and then, so sometimes our thinking is like, well, I know high fructose corn syrup is bad. That doesn't have high fructose corn syrup. Therefore, it must be good, but just because, right. Yeah. So they kind of play on that thinking that we have, and, or, gluten-free, potato chips have always been gluten-free, right, but they've never been healthy, right? Yeah. Right. They've always been gluten-free, they've never been healthy. Yeah. So, and again, we want to make sure that we're not saying we're stepping in the direction of less processed food.
Yes.
And it is hard, as to your point earlier, it's hard to go, make 180-degree turn.
Right.
That's very challenging. It's difficult to sustain. And maybe we can do that for 2 weeks and then we run out of steam or something trips us up. But if we make a small change and do one of your games, and have a little bit of a rule, a rule. And
these are rules.
And you adopt, one at a time.
Right.
And you see that you're making progress. And you build momentum and confidence.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. It feels good.
Yeah. I love what you're saying, Dr. Gilbert, because it's I can't do all of it at one time, but I can make a step in the right direction. And I was talking to a client actually earlier today, and we were imagining our goals as like climbing a building. and think about what you want, right? This big dream and goal that you have.
Mhm.
And it's at the top of the building. And maybe you picture like those beautiful like rooftops in New York where there's a pool and there's like, beautiful trees and a beautiful view. But to get there, you have to climb a ladder. So you grab this huge ladder and you put it against the building. But there are no rungs in your ladder, right? So how will you get from here to there?
Right.
You can't fly up it.
Right.
And as much as we want to have that solved in one day, and we're impatient and we want it right now, that's not how it works.
Mhm.
Like anything that's hard that we've worked for in life, it took time and effort. It's a process. So to be patient with ourselves and put one rung of the ladder in as we slowly climb. And
Mhm.
it's interesting to point out too that we want those rungs of the ladder to be solid foundations.
Right.
We don't want to step back. Sometimes we step back a little bit, but we want that to be a solid foundation rung, not one that breaks and then we fall all the way down the ladder.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I like
every
that.
step we take is
Mhm.
we have to, but to do that, it has to be a well-built rung. It has to be timely, and we have to be capable of doing it. We need
Mhm.
support and help and effort, from like Oregon Weight and Wellness, where that support that comes around you to help build the rungs. And then you feel solid, right? Once that rung is solid, because once you get to climbing your building, you're going to look down and you've come a long way.
Right. Yeah, I love what you're saying here,
Yeah.
Rachel, because I agree with you that so many times our expectations are we want things instantaneous results, and we expect ourselves to be able to change right away and keep doing, and or it feels overwhelming. It's kind of that all or none thinking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we got to have a little bit of a paradigm shift in our brain. We have to change the attitude in our mind.
Yes.
To accept who we are, where we are, and but know that we can make a small change, and that's progress. And imperfect progress is still progress. I had another thought too. I was going to throw in there. What was it, Julie? Something. It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah.
But I love that we were talking about rules, and I know that rules, some people brisk at a rule. Don't tell me what to do. Don't make a rule.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about a rule that's so limiting that, first of all, you choose it, right? You choose the rules. We all actually live by rules every day. I stop at stop signs. I stop at red lights. I wear my seatbelt. There's a lot of rules that we do follow every day that keep us safe and kind of in these nice boundaries that help us succeed. So it's not that we're saying those limiting things that feel like your autonomy is kind of like bristled, right?
Mhm.
It's more what rules do I choose for me? What are the healthy rules that will help me? And that game in the grocery store to me is a rule, but I think of it as a game. Like, can I succeed at this game? And if you have fun with it, I think it will feel good. It won't feel limiting, especially if, like you said, you want to have the success. We want to have those little successes along the way that feel good.
Okay. All right. I remember what I was going to say.
Okay, go.
Well, it was about the impatience, because a lot of the when we're watching TV, one of the things that's driving our impatience is the start to finish in a half an hour of whatever program that's on. And then also, our phones and things like that. I mean, we're getting instant information like this. And so I think that part of that drives the impatience that we have with ourselves and our bodies in the process, the journey that we're on. The other thing that I wanted to confess.
Ooh.
M&Ms are highly advertised.
Yes, they are.
For example, at the theater. I hadn't been to a theater in forever, and I went recently. Mask and everything, which is fine, distance, fine. But I went to a theater, and the M&Ms were. I didn't buy any theater food, but the M&Ms were being pushed or marketed, and but I was at a place where there were M&Ms in a bowl. I ate M&Ms.
My name is Julie Gilbert, and I ate M&Ms.
So we don't have to be 100%. I think that's my point.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But we want to get a strong B. We want a strong B.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And gosh, think about heavily advertised. They put faces on M&Ms.
Yes. I know.
So if there's a commercial and your food has a face or a character and it's human-like, they're really trying to get to you. Like, oh, these M&Ms are my buddies.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I had, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And they're a weakness. I know the M&Ms, especially the peanut M&Ms.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, not perfection, just making, better than choices. And overall, is the net sum of my choices, have they been better and moving me forward?
Mhm.
That's really the goal at the end of
Right.
the day. Am I still moving forward?
Moving forward. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for that
Yeah.
conversation. Great conversation. So tell me what you are having for your dinner tonight, Rachel.
Yes.
What's for dinner?
So dinner tonight is curry. So we had a big family dinner. We sent our son away to college, and so we had one final family dinner together, and it was his favorite. It's curry. So I made my curry recipe, and I had my tofu. He had his chicken in it, and we had a bunch of people over too. But so it's leftovers, which I love leftovers because I make a big giant batch, and we eat off of it for several days, or freeze it, and then we can eat it again later. But it's just so good with big chunks of vegetables. So I'm excited about that.
Wonderful. And I am also having leftovers.
Yeah.
These are leftovers. So this is a story maybe for next time. I don't know. So I had a guest from Liberia over the weekend, and someone made African food for him, a Liberian food for him. And there are, leftovers. So that's what's for dinner for me. So I'm excited. Very different flavors.
Yeah.
And I love experimenting with different herbs and spices, and makes real food, taste so flavorful, and it's just something new all the time. Very exciting. And real food tastes good and is good for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't wait to get more into the book, because I know we'll have more of an opportunity to talk about some of those spices and kind of get some exciting ideas, and I encourage the people the patients in groups to share recipes. Let's talk about different ways to make food. So that's exciting about did you say it was from Africa? It's an African food?
Liberia. Yeah.
So and I've had the Senegalese food, which I am just a new fan of the Senegal palate. So
all right. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Until next time, have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.